Hello, Abby. We're going to take a look at your long form contour drawing, starting off with the thumbnails. So we didn't have a lot of choice in our composition, so that's why we only did 4 thumbnails, just to really give us a little experience at starting off with these. You did a good job of keeping space in between them, so we could really see the outside edges of all of these. Kept them nice and small, and also proportionate to the final. We move on to our gesture drawings, and you keep those nice and energetic, loose, open, searching for those forms in space. Nice, long, continuous marks for the most part. Um, as we've said, gesture drawing takes some time to develop. You're doing well. Then we move on to the final, the big show here, and the long drawing. And you've got a lot of really good things happening on here. Your basic proportions are working pretty well. The proportions of this bottle, width to height, are pretty darn close. I'm very familiar with these bottles. Um, Also, just the basic relationships, the height of this to the height of this, I know pretty well. The width and height of this can look pretty believable. Some other proportion things that I think work well for you, as you noticed, you can only see a small bit of the top of this cube compared to how big it actually, the big the front of it is. Um, those things can be pretty tricky and can fake us out. I'm not sure about your position on this, but looking at the width of this compared to the width of this might be slightly off, maybe. Um, but overall, I think you've got a good handle on those sorts of things. Moving on to our receding parallel edges. So, this one we can only see 2 sides, so we can't really see a lot, but you do have these receding, and they're going to meet up there, which is really good. And we look over here. These are getting slightly closer together and are going to meet out there, just like these are getting closer together and going to meet out there. It starts to create a believable form. Um, you can see a little, some issues happening with this one. We look at that. Compared to that, these are getting further apart. I really suggest drawing these transparent, and don't be afraid to extend those receding parallel edges. That can oftentimes help us to see that. That's why I use a long stick here to kind of help us extend that. You can also see that happening with this little cube over here. We've got this working pretty well, but then notice this one over here sticking way out here. You've got, this one right here to here to here are, pretty reasonable, and then this one goes out. You've got this to this to this working pretty darn good. Actually, there's 4 of them. That one, that one, that one, and that one. Those are coordinated quite well. That's a tricky thing, but it is only just sort of 2 boxes happening there. You've done a good job on the receding parallels on the top of this ladder. That's pretty good there too. Make sure you get there's a thickness to these pieces of wood that we should be able to see on there. But overall, your proportions on that work pretty well. Here you can see a few marks that I made on here that might help you to see, drawing these things transparent can help us to see where stuff is. So if we've got this little corner right here, if we extend that and we follow this up, we'll find that corner. And that will tell us that, oh goodness, this has got to just keep coming down if this is what this angle is. Anyway, overall, I think you've got some very good proportions and a starting understanding of those angles. You're seeing the shape of this vase is pretty good. I know you mentioned wanting to get closer on that, but these these profiles of these vases can be pretty darn tricky, and I think you've done well with that. You've got a good start on your atmospheric perspective. Look at these dark lines happening here, and then look how much lighter they are in the back there. That creates that sense of space. And your ladder gets a little lighter, and then this can getting lighter really starts to create that sense of that illusion of space and form just with the line weight. So good job with that. You really can't exaggerate that enough at this scale. If you've got any questions, Abby, please don't hesitate to ask.